That was my reflection. Oh. Hey guys, welcome to another vloggy mishmash thingy. Today was an impromptu filming session. I was not planning to turn on the camera today. I was working at home and I was gonna edit today and just kind of take it easy because today was like, well, last night was the first proper night's sleep I've had in a long time, so I've been a bit groggy. I was chatting with Charmaine after I finished my morning of work and she was like, I need to go to Garden Works, which is like a nursery that's kind of close, or a garden center that's close to the both of us. It's kind of in between where we live. So I was like, well, why don't I come with you, and then why don't I film a little bit? And I don't know what I'm gonna do with this footage, but at least I have footage. So I'm actually in Charmaine's car. Where are you? You're behind this dang
I don't get this comment, dude. The men are unhinged today. Remember? Okay, so I don't know if you've seen it yet, but I got this message, right? Sorry. Hello, everyone. Okay. Just reading some tea.
Okay.
And then I posted this.
Okay.
And then this guy replied this. A different guy.
Okay.
I don't get it. What?
Like, wait.
Like, I'm actually confused.
Maybe because like he's DM'd you and stuff in the past and you didn't respond.
Nobody cares. Block me too. Should I block him? Does he want me to? It's all the men. The men are confusing me today. Okay, I'm just gonna leave him on red. How about that?
This is an awful angle.
Oh my god!
Once again,
I look
if I move
awful.
the camera over here, we're all in the shadows. So this will have to do.
There's a thing on my face.
So this place is so freaking busy today. I thought it was going to be nice and chill and there won't be very many people, but the parking lot's packed.
I know.
And everyone's here to,
no.
Oh my gosh. I had to film this intro in Charmaine's car because there was people loading plants next to my car and it's so embarrassing.
Oh my god, look at her.
Oh my
god. Oh my god. Sense of urgency. Go,
yeah,
go, go,
and then
go.
She's looking right into this car at my camera. I don't know how people film in public.
I don't know either.
Yeah, with like the camera in their face. Anyways, Charmaine is here because she needs to get soil because she purchased a gigantic, I'm gonna move this so people can see you, gigantic yucca off Facebook, which is like really cool, very beautiful, very wild and twisty and bendy, and it would look really great in her home, but it's freaking massive. I'm gonna show you a picture of the yucca in her hallway just so you can see. Basically, it's like 3 times bigger than what she thought it was gonna be, and she needs a big pot to repot it in.
Massive bag of soil.
Massive bag of soil. No shade to the seller, but it stinks. And I'm suggesting that maybe there's like manure in the soil or something really stinky because it was outside, right?
I think so. I can't remember.
I mean, it looks kind of like a plant that's kind of weathered and from the outside. Oh, yeah, that's the perfect place to leave your cart, woman. Just right in the garden bed.
Have some respect for the people who work here. How hard is it to put your cart back?
Put your cart back!
Wait, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so she's here to get a pot and soil for her yucca. And then I'm here to kind of scope out plants and just kind of get inspiration because one project I have coming up, which I'm not working on yet, but I'm preparing for after this like coffee shop project I'm working on kind of slows down a bit, is I need to do a plant install in another coffee shop. So they have a lot of plants and they want this like very jungly vibe, but they don't have a plant person and all the plants they have are dead. So I have like I have a lot of freedom in the quantity, the types, everything. Like there's really no budget, which is really fun. So I'm just scoping out ideas for what to install, and I won't get the plants here because it's way too expensive. I'm gonna have to go with like the wholesale route.
But it'll be fun to at least kind of get some ideas. I'm excited to see what it's gonna look like.
I know, me too. It is a good coffee shop. The build is really beautiful.
And their avocado toast is so good. Or
their food is really good.
What was it? The salmon? Oh, the lox toast.
Oh yeah, and you added avocado. Okay. Did I tell them everything they need to know?
I think so. Welcome back to another mishmash.
Yeah. Here we go, mishmash.
Right.
Oh. Well, I'm gonna give Charmaine the things I brought for her. This is the moss from Brazil.
Thank you.
I totally forgot to give it to her, and I've been meaning to. I put this in a little thing, so with like 100% humidity, lots of light, it should reanimate, and I'm really curious to see what this like pinky moss will look like once it starts to grow.
Cool.
I think it'll be really fluffy.
I forgot about this.
And then Raven Zizi. This is a propagation.
It's huge.
I took this little bit out of when I first got it, and then this grew out almost a year later. And you can do with it what you will. There's so much algae in here.
It's okay. It looks just like all the rest of my vessels.
And it's broken.
Oh no, his pants.
Water's gonna...
His fly's open.
Yeah, his fly is wide open.
Do you think he'll be okay in the car?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm just gonna stick him here.
Okay. Cool.
So the pond doesn't spill. All right. We'll be filming on our phones.
Inside.
So see you inside. Hello, it's voiceover me now. So the plan was to show you guys the plants that I was going to install, but as usual, I get sidetracked with other interesting things like this Homalomena and also this Alocasia Tiny Dancer that I find this plant so ridiculous looking, but I love it. Like, it looks so stupid, but so funny and just awesome. I kind of want one. This Thai constellation was like $800 and it's like decently big, but get a load of this pot. Like, what? So the trees are what I wanted to look at for the build. So a Dracaena marginata I think would look so cool, but this one in particular, the stems were too straight. I need it to be like windy. A Brazil I think would look really good trailing off its shelf. It'd just be a little bit high maintenance, but it would look nice. This is a Ficus altissima with a nice branching pattern. I kind of like this kind of look, maybe behind a chair. And then also like an Audrey might look nice, but Ficus can be a little bit finicky. They do have a fiddle leaf that's thriving, so maybe another Ficus would look good. The floor plants do better because they get watered.
Do you want one? Syngonium.
Oh, Syngonium!
$72 with steel.
Oh my god, it's $72?
Little air plants would be so cute on that shelf too behind the
Yeah, but I can't even keep them alive in my home.
But I feel like the humidity would be higher in there, right? Because all the steam.
Maybe. I like Spanish moss so much. We found a little version of the yucca that Charmaine got off Facebook, and it's just not the same when it's growing so upright. Like, you need a weird heirloom one from somebody. I thought maybe a Boston fern would be good for the cafe, but also maybe too thirsty. These sundews, you guys, how freaking cute. I cannot handle. Like, look at these little pancakes. What? Oh, this is an ant plant. This is the first time I ever seen one in person, but they actually have like ants living inside them. And then this oleander I thought was really cool, but I don't know what kind of conditions they need. Maybe like full sun, which I don't think I can give it. And we found these cute little bean-shaped silvery plants outside in like the outdoor section, and they feel like satin. I feel like that was a bit of a weird way to start off a video, but it was, again, very spontaneous, very unplanned. I was actually not planning on filming another vlog so soon, but guess here we are. I am sweating like a pig. So I had to think on the way home as to what I wanted to film, because apparently this is a vlog this week. So I definitely have a lot of plant chores to do, certainly in relation to like vacation prep. So we're now just over a month to when I leave. So I wanted to get things kind of prepared slowly over the next few weeks. So they have a couple of weeks of buffer just so I can diagnose any issues from repotting. So anything that's in like a very small pot that requires water more than once a week or like once every 5 days or so, definitely needs to be upsized so that when I'm gone, they don't need water so much. I can give them a nice reservoir of water. So it's kind of awkward because Charmaine is gone almost exactly the same days that I am. So we're both out of the country for like the same range of days, almost to the day. And Jing has so kindly offered to do some watering because she did watering for Charmaine once when she was gone over Christmas. I wanted to get away with not having anyone come water, but knowing how hot it's probably going to be at that time, I might have to take Jing up on it. But I want the plants to be in like large enough vessels to be able to last like maybe 10 to 14 days between waterings. That would be ideal. So that's what we're going to work on later. Not today though. I'm going to finish editing my video that's going up on Sunday and maybe just kind of take it easy because it's been a really intense work week and very hot. And I haven't been sleeping well because of the heat and also because of like the late nights working. So yeah, I'm gonna turn off the camera now for the day and I'll come back to you guys when we're gonna do some vacation prep. All right, see you later. I'm back. It's Sunday. This weekend so far has been full of errands and chores, which is actually like my favorite kind of weekend. I love weekends like this. But yeah, like I said, we're here to do some vacation prep repotting. This is such a random video, I swear. So I'm gonna show you the plants that we're working on. They're almost all Anthuriums. So basically in terms of plant chores from now until I leave on vacation, the goal is to get all root-bound plants upsized so that there's time for it to like root out and establish, and I can make sure it's okay before I leave, and also that the pot is bigger and can hold more water while I'm gone. Because even though Jing offered to water, what if she can't? Like what if something comes up and she can't? So I want to be sure that the plants can like at least almost make it. I'm okay coming back to like some wilted plants. That's certainly like my expectation, that things are going to be really thirsty while I'm gone, but I don't want things to like completely die. But I'm just gonna try to be as realistic as possible with myself. I haven't been on vacation in 5 years, like gone away on holiday, and it's the price of going on holiday, I guess. But also there's like just a very random plant I wanted to show you because we're gonna repot that today as well. Yesterday I went to Lowe's. We were going there to just pick up some like hardware stuff, and obviously if I'm gonna be at Lowe's or Home Depot, I'm always gonna like take a look at the plant section, and I really didn't think I was gonna get anything, and I was looking at the succulents and I found this tray of astrophytum. So a couple years ago I was going through this like cacti and succulent phase where I was obsessed with cacti and succulent. In that time probably added like probably 20 or 30 to my collection, and I've never been able to get one of these. These are readily available, but I don't even know what the botanical, oh, Astrophytum myriostigum. But yeah, I was really excited to see this. This one was so perfect, but this one just happens to be variegated. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is variegated, no? I was very kind of pleasantly surprised to see this in a tray of green astrophytum. Literally about 5 minutes before I came across this tray, I was telling Jing I'm not gonna buy any plants before I leave on vacation. And then here we are. I said to myself, if it's $5, I'll buy it. And it was $7.50 and I still bought it. But my reason for not buying plants before vacation is because I don't want like, especially cuttings, because with cuttings there's just no way it's going to end well for that plant if I'm going to be away for 3 weeks. But a succulent is a different story. So we're going to repot this one because I don't want to use this nursery soil. But yeah, I never find variegated plants, honestly. Like when I do, it's maybe like a little fleck like on the edge of the leaf on a monstera, which is not going to persist. This is like the first fully variegated plant I've ever come across, and it just happens to be a plant I've always wanted, and I have the perfect pot for it. This is just like a clay pot. I picked this up. This is available at a lot of garden centers, but I picked this up from a place called Serre la Voie in Montreal. If you live in Montreal or around Montreal and you're, well, I guess it's in Laval, not Montreal. Is it the same thing? Am I stupid? They have the most amazing selection of cacti and succulents. It's always changing, and they have like some really weird ones. I've gotten some really cool ones from there, and I thought this pot with this would be absolutely perfect. And then in terms of like the Anthuriums, I'll show you what we're working on. So the first one is not root bound, but really needs a repot because it's in moss. So this is my dark form Ace of Spades. No, it's not. It's my green form Ace of Spades. This new leaf is now fully hardened and it started to root in the moss, which I do not want. This amount of roots is totally fine. I shouldn't have any trouble getting the moss off of it. And I think I want to get it into pon. I mentioned this before, but Lauren's having some trouble with her mother plant in tree fern fiber. She's having trouble getting it to root. It might just be a stressed plant. I don't know because it was chopped into a million pieces, but I kind of want to try pon just to give her some comparison. Not that she really likes using pon because she just prefers leca overall in general. I don't really know the reason for that, but she's not a huge pon fan. So that should be a pretty easy one. So in terms of like plastic cups, I often use this like yogurt parfait cup, which I got a whole bunch from my old workplace. So these have been really good for little plants. A lot of my baby Anthuriums were planted in this when they were quite small. Now a lot of them are outgrowing it, and because it's kind of rounded on the bottom, it's always kind of toppling over when it's top heavy. So this one is one of my seed batch forgetty eyes. It's not looking so hot because it always dries out. So these ones live at the back of my tent, which I can't really see the pot so well, so they end up being neglected in terms of watering quite often. And I think that's what these little spots are on the edges. It's not like severe underwatering, but it is definitely underwatered. And you can also see how much stem is above the substrate. I want to get it covered at least to like here-ish, as high as I possibly can. I'll probably end up removing some leaves. All the ones I'm repotting today are in that cup. This one's my very sad red crystallinum from Amanda. It's never done super well for me. It's not dying. It's not doing well though. There's definitely some root rot in the substrate. Like not a huge heckin' ton, but there's a little bit here, and I think a little bit here. There's a good amount of like healthy root as well, but I do need to do a little bit of cleanup in the substrate and I think get it into, maybe, what should I do? I might get it into one of my square orchid pots because the recent repot of Anthuriums that I did was quite good. Anyway, Amanda did tell me that hers is a little bit of a finicky specimen. This is originally from NSE Tropicals. So she said that I shouldn't feel too badly about it, but there's something nutritionally wrong with this plant in that it can't really form leaves properly. Yeah, like it would either not form one of the lobes or this one, it didn't form the bottom of the leaf properly. So I think this one is gonna go into one of my like square orchid pots that has drainage holes in tree fern. I might put a small leca layer at the bottom as well so that if I wanted to sit it into like a saucer with water, then I could. I'll show you something similar that I've done. This is my red crystal port that I recently repotted in a video. So it's in tree fern, but it's sitting in like a deep saucer. So I could, in theory, when I'm gone, like water it through and just let it sit in water. And if I had a leca layer at the bottom, I shouldn't be worried about rot near the bottom of the pot. But since that repot, I put out this leaf and it's formed so much better than the other ones. This is the leaf before it, and you can see that it didn't fully form. It's kind of stunted and dwarfed. We also had like these lightning vein things, like kind of chlorotic looking leaves. This leaf is not so bad, but it does have a little bit of speckling. And just as an aside, before I leave, I'm going to be very diligent on pest treatments because I don't want like a small colony of like spider mites or anything to go unchecked before I go. I probably will do another Azamax treatment. And this is kind of like the general thing with spider mites is that they grow resistant to pesticides very quickly. So you kind of have to keep rotating them. So I haven't used Azamax probably since like November-ish, I think it was. So it's been almost like 6 months that I've been just using Safer Sendal. So I feel like I could reintroduce Azamax right before I leave and it should be effective at like kind of killing a bunch of spider mites. Another one I still have yet to use is Captain Jack's. Maybe I could use that as like a foliar spray, which I think is what it's intended to be used as, and Azamax as a soil drench. Another two need to repot. These two are siblings. They're definitely starting to size up. These are Magnificum crossed with Luxurians from Northern Tropicals. So these I grew from seed, or like just germinated seed, from Lauren about a year ago. So this is about a year's growth from like teeny tiny, let's say something close to like this size. And they're quite root bound in these little yogurt cups. I find that they dry out quite consistently, and sorry, I'm just kind of doing pest inspections as I go. But yeah, these plants just keep getting prettier and prettier, and I really love how short the petioles have stayed on these. You can see they're like this, and they're quite upright. They don't really like do that helicopter thing, which I feel like this like very upright pattern might be a dominant trait, because all Lux hybrids kind of grow quite upright. You know what I mean? Like with like crystallinum, Bessier Af, even Forgetty Eyes, they can really reach sideways, so the wingspan ends up being quite wide. All the Lux hybrids I've seen have been growing with this kind of like upright, more like compact growth pattern, which I feel like comes from the Luxurians, because Luxurians doesn't tend to spread so much. So that's quite nice. So these two, like I said, are from the same seed batch with the same parents. This one had the tendency to grow more narrow leaves. So the leaves are just a little bit more elongated, like this one. This new one wasn't so elongated, but all of them have this like bowl, like cut kind of shape, which I really love when Anthuriums do this. I think it's so cute. This one is a lot more round, which is freaking adorable. Look at this leaf. The newest leaf isn't actually quite as round, and I find it really interesting because this one used to have quite red emergence. Like if you think about, if you have a Luxurians, actually, Luxurians usually comes out with quite red emergent leaves, and this one was like that, except this new leaf came out very golden. It's been growing in the same tent, in the same light conditions the whole time, so I don't really know why it's decided to change. It's always very fun to watch this plant grow. I hope I have enough pots for all these plants. I would ideally want to get the majority of them into no drainage. I wish I had more of these. This one is from Dollarama. Actually, Lauren picked this up for us because her Dollarama actually has this size. The one that's closest to me only has like the really tall, narrower ones, or maybe it's the same diameter, but it is much taller. So it's kind of like awkward for plants sometimes. This is the perfect size for like this size of Anthurium. And when she asked us if we wanted some, I was just like, I just asked for 5. Why did I only ask for 5? This is like one of my favorite sizes, and why I didn't just like clean out the whole store, I don't know. I'm such an idiot. I definitely learned my lesson. If these are available, I'm getting as many as I can because they're awesome, and they're only $2. So 5 of these cost me $10. So other options that I have are deli cups. So they're definitely not as pretty, but they essentially are the same thing, like just a little bit bigger. In my mind, I would be putting like my favorite one into here, but I can't really pick a favorite. I love them all for very different reasons. I also have these like coffee cups. These are actually from Lauren as well. I was cleaning out her bathroom, which has like a lot of like used cups and stuff. These ones I think she buys to plant things in and propagate in. And sometimes if you buy a plant from her, you'll get it in this cup. So she was kind of getting rid of a bunch of clutter, and I took some home. So those are the options, I think. And also this square orchid pot with the holes, which like I said, you can kind of do it similar to no drainage by putting a little cup underneath. So yeah, that's all the plants and all the substrates. So let me just get set up and then we'll get started. Okay, I hope this angle is okay. We're gonna start with the Astrophytum first, actually, because I made up a little tiny batch of cactus soil for it. I don't think it's spiky. I can handle this with my, yeah, I can handle this with my bare hands. Oh, also it has like three to four flowers coming out. You see these little fluffy little rabbit feet looking things? So this morning, my boyfriend and I went to IHOP for breakfast because after the week I had last week, I really needed just to treat myself, and I love IHOP. So the weekend that I was editing and getting up the 2-hour vlog video, I think it would have been 2 videos ago now, That was like the worst week I've had in so long. Just nothing was going right. It all started one Saturday. We were out kind of running errands, and then we came back and then the power was out. Like, this happens every now and then. I think just the power grid where I live is a little bit old, I guess, and needs upgrades. But I was kind of annoyed because it was the day before a video was to go live, and I usually like finish editing on the Saturday before the Sunday upload. I probably should be doing it sooner, but that's just kind of how things have been working out. So when like 6 o'clock rolled around and I still wasn't up, and I knew how much editing I still had left to do because that was like a 2-hour long video, just a huge file size as well that my computer is trying to deal with. So my computer ends up being quite slow when it's trying to deal with a video of that length. So yeah, it ended up being a full 24 hours I didn't have power, which in the grand scheme of things is not that long, but it just felt kind of like a perfect storm of bad circumstances because I couldn't get my video up. Obviously, I had no power to edit on. I had just done a gigantic Costco shop a few days before, so I had so much food in my fridge that was going bad, and I had so much work to do as well for like my work, but I didn't have internet, I didn't have anything, and also it's not like I could have like used the battery up on my laptop and tethered myself because in my area the reception is also really bad. Oh, and it was basically in the middle of like a small heat wave, so we couldn't run fans. We were just like, I couldn't sleep. It was so hot. I was sweating through that entire weekend. And then when I went to export it finally, when I got my power back, I finished editing it, it would not export. So if you've ever done video editing, I use Final Cut Pro. It can take quite a long time to export a video, especially one that's 2 hours long. So every time I attempted to export, it would probably take 4 hours. I think I attempted it about 5 times before I finally got it to export. And then, when I tried to upload it onto YouTube, my Wi-Fi cut out for no reason. And then it came back, but it was running really slowly. Like if I was just surfing on the internet, it felt like dial-up speed. So that power outage meant that it had this like domino effect onto my whole week because I fell behind on a lot of work. So my whole week was trying to catch up to everything I couldn't do, and I just felt so sad and so defeated that week. So I went to IHOP today. Oh, by the way, the soil that I'm using is basically just my normal aeroid mix. I just throw in a bunch more perlite and like some of my pond mix, which has like pumice and lava rock and stuff. So it's just probably equal parts rocky and organic. I really don't like potting succulents because their freaking fine little roots always scare me. On the way to IHOP, I met Samantha Ravendall. So if you are a watcher of like makeup channels, you probably already know her. She's actually local to me, and she's in our local plant group, and she put out an ISO for Captain Jack's because she's dealing with spider mites. I happen to have Captain Jack's and I don't actually use it, like I mentioned. I haven't used it yet, so I thought maybe, you know, it would be good for at least someone to be getting some use out of it. And I can totally sympathize with like not having pesticides when you need it, and you just feel like really like you can't really focus on anything else. And I also wanted to like kind of prevent people offering the wrong pesticides. So someone immediately was like, I have bonide systemic granules. I don't know why they offered it. The seller kind of doesn't really know very much, but is very free with offering wrong information. Because if you didn't know, bonide, or what is it, imidacloprid, as being the active agent, has been shown to make spider mites reproduce like crazy. So it's almost like a sex drug for spider mites. Some people have reported like humongous outbreaks of spider mites like after using imidacloprid. Imidacloprid is a common ingredient in pesticides that are directed at thrips. I was like, let's just shut this down. I have Captain Jack's. Let me know if you want some. So she took me up on it, and this is done, by the way. Cute aggression has been activated. I seriously want to just like throw this across the room. It makes me very happy. This makes me so happy. This was the best $7.50 I've ever spent. Maybe not in my whole life, but in a really long time. Oh yeah, so the reason why I'm telling you about Samantha is that if you watch beauty YouTube and you don't already follow her, I highly recommend you do. She's the only makeup channel that I could watch every video, and I don't even watch it for the makeup because I can't even use the makeup that she recommends. She has dry skin, I have oily skin, she has white girl eyes, I have monolid eyes. There's just really no crossover between our needs, our preferences, our techniques, but I really like her and what she has to say about pretty much everything. So she does a lot of like makeup, like get ready with me type things, but she just doesn't really talk about makeup. She's just talking almost. It's like a podcast style. So if you like plant channels that are like this, where we're just chatting and talking and you're not actively watching what they're doing, you're just having it on the background, her videos were really good because she's very smart, she's very, very funny, and she's super thoughtful. And I feel like she's one of the few beauty YouTubers with a conscience, morals, principles. She also has 2 plant videos. One is a import video and one is a plant tour, so I'll link those 2. I've been trying to get Charmaine to watch her videos, but I think it takes a lot for Charmaine to watch any sort of YouTuber. She doesn't really like watch YouTube that much, which is understandable because we spend so much time on YouTube. No, I don't want to do it yet. Let's do the ace. We haven't decided what pot he's gonna go in, but let's get him out of moss first. So I'm gonna use this. Get you out of there. He's got quite a chunky stem. And in case you're wondering, I played it super cool when I met Samantha. I've been watching her channel for, I don't know, probably coming up to a decade. Like since I could remember, and I still watch her channel, but I've totally pretended like I didn't even know who she was, which is such a typical Vancouver thing to do. Honestly, we get a lot of actors because a lot of filming goes on here, and like Vancouver, it's either they have no chill around actors and celebrities. Not that I feel like she would consider herself a celebrity per se, but also like in my line of work, I come across a lot of celebrities because they're here for filming and they're going around looking for nice coffee shops, and there have definitely been like celebrity regular customers. Like if they're here filming for like a bunch of months, then they kind of not usually, I shouldn't say usually, I don't know what they do. They will often pick a coffee shop and go there like every day. And Vancouver people, I think either they are like, oh my god, can I get a picture with you? Or they're like, I don't even know who you are. So that's pretty much how I was, even though I was so excited to meet her because I really admire her for what she does. I feel like everybody loves a good celebrity story. Who have I served? Dakota Johnson came in with, I don't even know who her boyfriend was at the time. I find that celebrities are either like really, like they understand that they're being recognized, so they're on good behavior, or they're basically like this the whole time, like, don't talk to me, don't talk to me, don't talk to me. Even if you're the one taking their order and you're directly speaking to them and need answers from them, they're just like, yeah, So they're like that. I really pretend like I've never seen them before in my life. They're just any random person from off the street. By the way, this one I removed some dead roots from. These were old roots that were from the original cutting on the plant. So I've cut off, I think, nope, not yet. I've cut off all the dying parts. So we have new healthy roots branching off of old kind of ugly looking roots. So I think we can just keep that as is. So I'm gonna just give this a really quick rinse because I want to get into pond and I don't want this moss in the pond. I think we're gonna do that too big. I think that could be okay. I think that's fine. We're gonna do pond in one of the deli cups. I feel like I have to say this every time. This is lechuza pond mixed with coarse perlite and orchiata and some random leca balls. Because I always forget that people who are new to this channel will have no idea, and they're like, that's not lechuza pond. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, so Dakota Johnson was one of those like kind of standoffishy, like please don't talk to me kind of thing, which I always feel a little bit offended when celebrities are like that, because like to me, specifically, because like I don't feel like I give off the energy that I'm like gagging to talk to you. So I feel a little bit offended that you think that you need to like, you know, put off this body language aura that is intended to deter me from talking to you. Who else? The Sprouse brothers. I've made their coffee before. They used to be a regular. A lot of them will stay at the hotel, kind of like a few blocks away from one location of a coffee shop or the coffee company I used to work for. They would always get keto coffee, which is basically like a version of bulletproof coffee, just like drip coffee blended with it's not THC, TCH, and butter. And it's the most disgusting thing ever. So that one's done. That was really easy. And I'm gonna get Great White into all of these pots soon. And I feel like I also need to recap what Great White is, because I get this as well, because I just throw the word Great White out like haphazardly all the time because I've been talking about it almost every video. But this is Great White. This is a mycorrhizal inoculant, which provides beneficial mycorrhizal fungi and beneficial bacteria to your substrate. It makes it root faster. It does a bajillion amazing things, and it creates like a really nice microbiome in your substrate. Basically, I add it to water because this is water soluble, and then I just water all the plants, like all fresh repots with it. Okay, let's do the red crystal next because I'm a little bit worried about him. Another one is John Cena. As some of you know, I am a big wrestling fan. I'm removing all the substrate, by the way, because I want to be able to see all the roots and cut off the dead roots. But if I didn't see dead roots, I would in theory just take this whole thing and then plop it into a bigger pot. So yeah, John Cena, such a class act, honestly. You know, there's just like public figures and celebrities that are just good people, like Keanu Reeves. John Cena is just so polite. He's kind of a bit dry, I guess, and a little bit vanilla, maybe you could argue. The one thing I really respect about John Cena is that he's the person who's granted the most Make-A-Wish ever in history. I think by a long shot. Reese Witherspoon one day, and also what's her name? Carla. I'm so bad with celebrity names. Carla something. She had this thing about banana bread, and then she would come in and buy like all the banana bread. She also had this thing about, I think she's vegan because she would, the banana bread was vegan. She also would order tons of this vegan donut that we would make, which is very popular. So I understand that she would like it. Like a lot of people, I don't even know where to put this pot. It's kind of like a cult favorite. People would always get really mad when the vegan donuts were sold out, and they're pretty much always sold out because it takes longer to make. But she would make these like gigantic orders of vegan donuts. Oh, there was also, what's his name? What the frick is his name? James Franco's brother. Is it Dave Franco? John Franco? Paul? Dave Franco, I think it was. He was kind of like a semi-regular, and people, because he kind of has a generic looking face, so people were like, is that him? Is that not him? I was like, I don't really know if that's him, but I can tell you, if we're trying to settle an argument, I can tell you that this guy has money, because I feel like he was trying to blend in with kind of like the Vancouver uniform, which is very like outdoorsy for the most part. So like rain jacket, some like just comfortable trousers, and like hiking style boots. So people were like, he's just a regular guy. And I was like, you guys, all of that is like Gucci. So I'm pretty sure that's Dave Franco. One time, and I'm not gonna say his name, an actor asked for my number and tried to booty call me. At the time I was engaged, not to my current boyfriend. I was engaged to my ex-husband, and he saw my ring and he was still like, you know, I was put on the spot. I did give him my number. So how he asked for my number was like, he was looking for a place to get soupy dumplings. So if you've ever been to Vancouver, you'll know that like the Chinese food here is very good. Like you can definitely find Chinese food that is on par with what you would get in like Hong Kong. But he was looking for soupy dumplings or xiaolongbao, and I recommended a place that was like not too far from where we were at that time. And then so he's like, oh, can you write that down for me? And then as I started to write it down, he was like, or maybe just give me your number. And I just wrote it down. I didn't ever expect him to call, because I was pretty sure he was constantly hitting on like every single girl that he met, because he was in town filming like a mini series at that time. So one night I was very intoxicated at home by myself, and it was like 10 o'clock or something, and he called, and I didn't pick up because I was intoxicated, and I had a feeling it was him because of the area code, and it was him, and he left me a message, and I think I have it saved somewhere, like just as a recording, because I just felt like it was something I'd want to remember, even though he's not like an A-list celebrity or anything, and I feel like a lot of people wouldn't even know who he is. But I'll give you a hint, but I won't say his name. He is currently in the new Wes Anderson film. That film has like a humongous cast, so do with that information what you will. Basically his message was like, hey Alice, it's blank, like his name, just heading back from work, just seeing what you're doing, like give me a call. And I didn't call him back, but I did bump into him in the times after. He was very forward, shall I say. And that whole time, I'm 99% sure he had a long-term girlfriend. So there you go. Red crystal is done. Just upsized pot with drainage and the option, oh crap. I was gonna put a leca layer at the bottom. Stupid idiot. Okay, you know what? We'll leave it to the end. Or maybe I won't even do the leca layer. I think you should be fine without the leca layer, to be honest. I didn't do the leca layer on the red crystal port. It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. I'm just gonna leave it like that, I think. So that one's done. The funny thing about that story is that at that time, he was the only person ever to ask for my number in my whole entire life. After that, there was one other person who asked for my number. Do you guys ever, I don't know if this was a thing where you are, but there was like, I think he's American, but this asshole instructor, motivational speaker, douchebag was doing this course where he was teaching men how to be like super aggressive with women, and like basically like don't take no for an answer. And that was his whole thing, and he would kind of travel around and teach men how to like basically wear someone down until they finally give you their number. So I'm pretty sure that the only other person other than this actor I won't name was like a student of that, because when I tell you he like chased me down the street, it was terrifying, first of all, but so cringe for him too. And then he like finally caught up to me and just like is out of breath, and it was just so pathetic. Don't chase women, please. Just don't do it. So basically, in all of those situations, I never let on that I recognize those people. I feel like they probably don't want to be recognized in the first place, but I feel a little bit cringe for myself if I were to like freak out. But I also wonder who I would freak out for. Like, what celebrity would cause me to lose my composure and get really excited and like ask for a picture or something. I was gonna say autograph, but I don't think people get autographs anymore. Because I'm going to cover more stem, I'm gonna just pull off these like lower leaves that are quite ugly anyways. And I'm probably not gonna cut off any roots because you can see it's very healthy. So I think this one is gonna go into a deli cup. Staying in pond, I feel like maybe like Jack Black or Stone Cold Steve Austin or maybe Jeff Goldblum might make me freak out a little bit. But also I feel like my what would you call it? My survival instincts would make me shut up and not say anything. Cause something like that like kind of causes a scene makes me so incredibly uncomfortable. So I feel like I wouldn't, because I also think that like, let's say in that moment there were other people around but no one had noticed them. So as soon as someone's like asking for a picture or something, it's very obvious that person is a celebrity or is someone to be noticed, and I would feel bad if they wanted to be discreet up until that point and I blew their cover, you know? But you know how like when sometimes people are surprised by like they didn't expect to be seeing a certain celebrity and all of a sudden they're there, and did they realize they're right in front of this celebrity and then they scream, and it's like a instinctual thing. Like it's not a, you know, it doesn't seem like at least a conscious scream on their part. I wonder if I would ever have that reaction to anybody. Like I see them and I'm just like, I cannot contain myself and I just start screaming at the top of my lungs. I don't know if I have it in me. Is it like a middle child thing? I don't know. Okay, that one's done. Plenty of space now for the roots and water. And then we'll do his sibling. The nice thing about getting it into bigger pots is that like I have wire shells in my tent. I haven't gotten shelf liners for the bottom yet, so it's kind of sitting on those like wire shelves wires. All small pots tend to tip over, especially the tree fern ones, because they get pretty light when they're dry. My Anthuriums are pretty much like constantly growing, so there's a lot of like very delicate emergent leaves all the time, so things falling over means damaged leaves. So I'm very glad to finally be getting into something with a wider base. I do have some plexiglass I think I'm going to be lining the shelves with. Even if it's not enough, at least like some portions of the shelves will be lined with plexi. Plexi right now is a lot easier to get for cheap versus 3 years ago when it was very high in demand. It's definitely worth seeing what's out there on like Facebook Marketplace or something, because sometimes these places, like a restaurant who's taking down a lot of plexi barriers from COVID days, will be getting rid of these barriers and you can cut plexi fairly easily. You should be using safety glasses and gloves, but you can take something really sharp and score it how you want a few times, and then you just like strike it. And then it breaks in that line, then you sand down the edges so it's not so sharp. This one as well, I'm gonna be removing some of the lower leaves that are starting to, oop. Let's try again, oop, didn't break. I'll leave this little guy. It's so surreal to me that I'm finally going on holiday. I cannot believe how many years have gone by since I flew anywhere. I think the last place I would have flown would have been the UK again, and it was winter of Christmas 2018. Was it 2018? Yeah, it was 2018 Christmas. The only time I've ever flown during the pandemic was to go to Montreal for work. And that was also very surreal because like getting on a plane at that point was really weird. And I feel like every step back to normal during the pandemic was very surreal. Like people's faces just weren't what you thought they looked like. It's almost like someone with a beard shaves off his beard and you're like, that's not what I pictured your mouth to look like. Okay, that one is also done. We're just flying through these repots. I think now that it's in a bigger pot, it's gonna be sizing up a lot more because that's what's been happening with a lot of my Anthuriums that I upsized. The next leaf after that was quite a bit bigger, so I'm quite excited. Some people will argue that Anthuriums prefer to be root bound. The argument is that they have an Anthurium that is growing in the same pot for like 4 years. The pot is like 90% roots, there's barely any substrate left in there, and it's doing just fine. You could also argue that it would be happier with an upsized pot. There's also people who will argue that upsizing the pot so that it's more water retentive leads to happier Anthuriums. I know Amanda does believe that, like she's pro upsizing or root trimming, one or the other, but definitely not leaving a root bound Anthurium in a pot for years and years and years. Okay, this is the last one, I think. So like I said, this one is an Anthurium forgetii from my seed batch. I have sold almost all of that whole seed batch and I've kept, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4 back. This is one of the ones I kept back because it was a little bit bigger. I just really like the texture on it because it's quite bullate, meaning like it's quite bumpy. And I'll probably put this one in, I'm out of deli cups. Oh, but I like those deli cups. This might not be so bad because it's such like a stemmy plant. The internodes on the forgetii are not quite a bit, but just a little bit wider than other Anthuriums. So it ends up being a little bit too tall. This is better than nothing, right? So I'm gonna use this, but I will have to loosen the roots. I just watered yesterday too. I should have timed myself because yesterday I spent the morning / early afternoon watering my entire collection, upstairs, downstairs, everywhere I had plants. I made sure I got to every single plant. That took a while. I should have timed it so I can have a better understanding of how much time my plant chores are taking up. What I would do with that information, I don't know. I just feel like I should probably know that. If I had done it like non-stop without stopping to check on plants and admire plants and photograph plants, it would have probably taken me 2 hours is my best guess. And I normally don't do like my entire collection all in one go. Normally I would do like my downstairs living room plants one day, I'll do my Hoya cabinet one day, and then I'll do my plant room one day. This is just like a jumbled up net of roots. This is like some of my least favorite roots to deal with. Okay, so we're gonna rip off a bunch of leaves near the bottom, like that's gotta go. Yeah, I need to cover as many leaves as possible. There's this one leaf, I'm gonna rip it off. This is Azamax damage from me doing Azamax foliar spray and not shutting off the lights. Don't do that. Okay, so far so good. So very soon, once things kind of settle down a little bit with my work, because grand opening is just about a week from today. So we're in the final stretch of like craziness. After that, me, Charmaine, and Lauren are planning to do a little wholesale nursery outing. So let me know if that would be interesting, if I should be filming that or not. The wholesale nursery is mainly for the cafe install that I'm doing, which is separate to the coffee shop that I'm helping for the grand open. So my vision for this, and it really depends on what I can either source from the wholesale nurseries or from other garden centers that I know have like interesting plants, or from Facebook. My vision for this is to install plants that are just not the usual plants that you would see in a cafe. Maybe things with like more structural, interesting shapes. And I'm not talking about like putting like quote unquote rare plants in there. I think that's just a recipe for customers taking cuttings, helping themselves to pieces of plants. For example, I don't know if I can get this plant. I would really like to get this plant, but a Dracaena marginata or like a dragon tree with like very curvy, windy stems, but a really tall one. So something that's like this tall, a young plant would not really be useful for this install because I needed to go on the floor and kind of maybe come up behind a chair. I'm definitely not looking for like, I don't know, the usual stuff. Like I don't want to install any pothos or like epipremnum. I don't want to do Monstera deliciosa unless it was already fenestrating. Definitely no like Maranta or Calathea or anything that is on the thirsty side, because the problem that they're having is, and I totally get this because I was once upon a time one of these people. Staff typically don't care about plants, so they're not going to make it a priority to water them or even check if they need water or water them at the appropriate time. I want to basically install some like plants with like water meters. So one example would be like those Elho pots with the self-watering ones with the little water meter attached. Because right now they have a lot of plants that are dying because they're in quite small pots, quite up high, so they're not super reachable. Other plants I was thinking that would be really cool is like really full Ripsalis. Trailing plants, like especially ones that aren't meant to trail, they actually want to climb, like philodendron, like heteroecium varieties, because they are climbers, they can grow kind of leggy, Scindapsus for sure. So I was thinking Ripsalis being a plant that actually likes to trail. I love seeing a trailing Ripsalis off a shelf, and the growth pattern will be a lot easier to maintain in terms of maintenance. So I know the staff aren't going to want to deal with plants unless they are a plant person, which, you know, there's quite a few of us, but in my experience, it's the very, very small minority of people that actually care about plants and care about taking care of them, especially when it's not really their job. Okay, it's great white time for all the plants. I just tipped some great white into here and I probably put too much. More came out than I thought would. It's not gonna harm the plant if you use a lot of myco. You can't really overdose myco. Whenever I overdose myco in the water, I'll water a few plants and then I'll top the watering can up with more water. But essentially, when I'm inoculating, I'll just kind of go over all the roots and then just stop when I reach the desired reservoir. I do make sure that I go over the root ball or where I know the roots are because I need it to make contact with the roots. I'm trying to talk and water at the same time. I wouldn't just put the water down the side because most of the myco will just bypass the roots and get to the bottom. And myco does need oxygen. So if it's all in the water at the bottom, it will not properly germinate, I think is how I understand it. Also for my next watering, I'm going to be, I think, re-inoculating everything. The myco people or great white will recommend re-inoculating, what does it say? Once every 2 to 3 weeks, which I've never done. That seems crazy, but it kind of feels a bit like the toothpaste commercials where they tell you to use like a gigantic glob of toothpaste. Seems unnecessary. I'm gonna actually maybe do this for this pot. I got these square pots from Lauren as well. This actually is not bad. And then lastly, the little astrophytum guy. So cute. My trouble with succulents, especially these like ball type ones, I think I underwater them. And like when I do water them, I don't water it fully enough because I tend to pot them in quite small pots. And then eventually they just get smaller and smaller and smaller until they're just a raisin. But what I'm learning is that probably I should be bottom watering. Ugh, too freaking cute. All right, what time is it? 5:30, perfect timing. Just enough time for me to go outside, weed my back garden, and then make dinner. My boyfriend just texted me, or I guess he texted me while I was filming. if he was making too much noise. He's building a shelf downstairs. Honestly, I tuned him out, so if he was noisy during the filming of this video, I apologize and he apologizes. All right, that's gonna do it for this week's super random mishmash video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to give it a like. I hope you have an awesome rest of the day, and I'll see you in the next one. Mwah.